Look, Frosthaven is a lot to contend with. You know it, I know it, the whole world knows it, and so you may be thinking about some third-party inserts to help you get your game organized and thereby have it hit the table, hopefully, more often. And here at the Cardboard Herald, we are ready to help you because today we're taking a look at two different custom inserts that I've assembled, tested, and will give you my scientific analysis and side-by-side comparisons of the wooden LaserOx and foam core folded space inserts to help you make your decisions. So let's take a look. Okay, so to help contend with this review and not have it end up girthier than the mess that has exploded upon my table, we're going to break this down into four categories: assembly, construction, price, and organization. And then I'll give my thoughts in each of those categories regarding each of the inserts. So first off, we have assembly, and both of these inserts are going to take some elbow grease. This is not something that comes pre-constructed, and you're going to have a lot of glue on hand, perhaps some other tools, and some time at your disposal to actually get these things up and running. Now, I'd never built a foam core insert that was professionally made. I've made a couple myself, but never one that was actually produced and are a laser cut. And I found that the folded space inserts are actually really snappy to put together. I love that there's interlocking components that are easy to slot in. It wasn't hard to follow any of the instructions. I didn't get lost at any point. And even though it doesn't rely on tension so much, predominantly relying on just glue to hold the individual components together, everything locks in pretty darn well. One nice thing about the folded space one is it doesn't require a lot of tools. As long as you have some glue on hand and you have the time, you can get this one put together fairly quickly. It took a couple hours of dedicated effort to get this one completely done, whereas the large and in charge LaserOx insert is much more laborious. These require more tools because they all come on these wooden sprues, and yeah, you can just kind of twist things out, but to avoid it splintering and any unwanted blemishes, they recommend that you use a razor to cut from that sprue, at least the joint sections. You're going to have to put a lot more effort into clicking everything together. It relies on a ton of tension, and then just to make sure that it's extra secure, they recommend also using glue. So this is going to be something where you're going to need a rubber mallet or at least a muted hammer. You're going to need glue. You're going to need a razor to do it the way they intend, and it is much more meticulous. There are more spots in this where I had to double check my work, and there were a couple times, particularly in some of these kind of collapsing boxes that nest within one another, where I realized I had built something the wrong way. Because this is a little bit more engineered of a product, it is more reliant on you getting everything precisely right. I'd say that I spent about 4 hours working on the LaserOx insert altogether. So as far as time commitment and ease of interacting with the components, folded space is much less of an endeavor. But that brings me over to construction, which is not so much the construction of the product, that's assembly. I'm talking about like the integrity of the product. How does it actually work? And this is where we probably get the widest gap between the folded space and LaserOx stuff, because the folded space inserts, I was honestly surprised once you got some glue on these bad boys how well they held together. They don't feel like they're coming apart. I don't have to use kid gloves with them. I mean, yes, it does feel like if I just flat out pull on them, they may end up breaking on me, but the overall construction is more secure than I anticipated, but they are just buckets. It is well designed and everything fits cohesively together, though I will say that there are a couple spots, like particularly these card and player boards, where the pieces, because of the design, don't have much to latch onto. They have minimum points of contact here that even after gluing and re-gluing, I've lost an edge piece. Yeah, this is our bad guy right here, where it just does not have anything to really rigidly slot into. So I would find that I'd end up needing to glue and glue again. And similarly, there are spots on this where I can see little gaps in spite of my best efforts to get everything to fit together nicely. On the other hand, LaserOx, that time commitment is really paying off. This bad daddy has so many interesting and clever ways of storing all your products. It's articulated in much more sophisticated ways. I mean, you look at these character boxes, you compare these two with one another. This has this plexiglass lid that flips up and keeps everything securely on the inside. It's extremely strong. I noticed that there was a ton of tension already just with the rubber mallets, but adding the glue, I have no worry about any of this coming apart. And the amount of design put into making everything fit together perfectly and functionally is really phenomenal. I mean, there's a couple of things like the monster box and this token box that have these sliding trays that just snap out that really blew my mind as I was building them. I'd never seen anything like this in spite of covering a lot of these types of inserts on this channel in the past. So this was really clever, though there is a little bit of inconsistency in some of these sliding trays where it feels like some of them have more or less tension than others. And speaking of tension, the character boxes, there's these little tension snaps that are supposed to keep the plexiglass in place, and it does an okay job, but it's not perfect. In other places where a similar system is being used, such as this status token tray, the tension snaps work perfectly. They're beautiful. Like, I have no problems with this collapsing as I hold it upside down, and then it just comes apart, and it has all these nesting token boxes. So that's a really positive sign as far as the overall construction of these. The other cool thing about LaserOx that I would point out is that they have a lot of artistic flourishes, a lot of symbols and nods to Gloomhaven to kind of help it feel like a premier product, or I guess Frosthaven. Oh yeah, the monster box. This is the big bad daddy who has all of the monsters perfectly organized in there. It can come apart. This is a helpful tool. Now, price, it's pretty straightforward. The LaserOx one is expensive, coming in at about 120 bucks, whereas the Folded Space one, yeah, it isn't quite as svelte and impressive and sophisticated as the LaserOx one, but is at half the price, about 60 bucks. If you are looking to maximize your organization to get this to the table more often, or you just really like those premium experiences, both of these are good ways to go. Personally, I am a fan of the LaserOx insert over the Folded Space insert, but both of these were review copies sent to me. I didn't have to shell out the cash. And the last is organization. This is really why we're here. And I talked about this a little bit in the construction section, and I feel like it's pretty evident. Both of these are much better organizational tools than the stock Frosthaven insert, which the stock Frosthaven insert was already a better organizational tool than the traditional Gloomhaven insert. The biggest thing that I can say for either of them is that they both work extremely well. They're both designed to fit cohesively in the box. The map tiles will not fit in the box, which I'll have more on that in just a little bit. But if you remove the map tiles, all of these are going to fit in the box and give you plenty of room to work with all your toys and not have things over smashed together. Now, the Folded Space one is, by nature of being separate tubs on each and every one of these, it's going to be more to Tetris in. Whereas the LaserOx, because it has these nesting trays, like this amazing monster box, because it all cradles together and nests together, and I can lift it just from the top one without things falling out and not worry about it all sliding apart, it's much less to put back into the Gloomhaven or Frosthaven box. I mean, that's one of the things with these premium inserts is sometimes they feel like coffins because it's so much work to put your games back into the box in this hyper organized way that you just lose all will to break it out again. And I did not feel that at all with the LaserOx stuff. The one thing about the Folded Space, though, that I have to point out is that because it is foam core with printed sides and the blue looks really cool, it can also have this printing on the inside, so you have already built into it a diagram of where all the pieces go, which is something that the LaserOx stuff does not have. I find that you don't necessarily need that once you get it all put together. It is fairly intuitive, but I'm not going to lie, it's a nice perk on the Folded Space stuff. If I had little engraved symbols for every single thing that went in every single place, I'd be all over that. Now, that said, this isn't part of the inserts themselves, but the Frosthaven Map Archive is a Folded Space product, which also was sent to me and also is imperative. Like, this is a game changer as far as getting your Gloomhaven map sorted. This has all of your map tiles organized based off of the numbers, so they're easy to file, easy to find, and it is about the width of the Frosthaven box itself, so it stores really well together, and it's something that I'm going to continue using as I use my LaserOx insert in the box. So that's our reviews. I like both of these. I think that the LaserOx is the better product ultimately, but it comes with a higher price point, a significantly higher price point, and a significant higher commitment to get it crafted, to put it together, to take the time and effort and have the tools to get it assembled correctly. But if you're the type of person that is going to go through the effort to put together the Folded Space insert with all of its own articulation and nuanced patterns for fitting everything together, you want to improve your Frosthaven experience that much, then it may be worth it to just spring for the LaserOx instead. But that's a decision that you're going to have to make, and I want to hear from you. What are your favorite inserts that you have for any of your board games, and have you put together either of these inserts, and what's been your experience? I'm sure that other people watching this video are going to want to know about that, so put it in the comments below. As always, thanks for watching, thanks for supporting, thanks for being an awesome community. You know that I've been Jack for the Cardboard Herald.